I am wearing pink because, full disclosure, my life has been in shambles over the past 2 weeks. I'm just working on home games and trying to keep everything together. So there are currently 3 separate piles of clothing on the floor of the bedroom, and I'm pretty sure this one was on the clean pile.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's a clean pile. So it was there, Previously I was wearing a Homegames shirt, and I was wearing that for a while, so I thought I would change that. And we got these pink shirts for Synovia's Bakery because it attracts people's attention.
It does, yeah.
And it matches her color scheme for her brand, so
Aww,
that's where the pink came from.
Very nice.
I'm fine. Everything's fine. So Yazeed and I just talked about the last week or 2 weeks of the work that I've been doing on home games.
It's a lot.
Yes, it's a lot. Also, hello everybody. Welcome to the Home Games podcast. You want to do it?
Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 109.
Yeah, I think so.
Yo, nice.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at this. Or it's 110 or 18, who knows?
On the website, it'll have the real number.
Yeah.
We'll just embarrass ourselves in the podcast like we always do.
Yeah. I'm Yazeed, and this is Joseph.
Hello, I'm Joseph, and today is June 5th, 2022.
And we're in person.
We're in person again because it is the month before the month. It is before the time.
Yeah, that too, but also just the timing worked out better this month.
Oh yeah.
This episode.
And we love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. I don't know why it seemed like you looked away like you didn't mean it.
Yeah, come through. I don't know. I struggle to make eye contact with my dog, so that's where I'm at.
That's fine. So I'm like your dog to you?
No, you're like every other person. I struggle to make eye contact with you in person.
That's fine. But yeah, we don't really have notes because the notes are on the whiteboard and we just kind of went over everything. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's a ton of work. Our plan is to kind of have a pretty stable, fleshed out build by the 1st of July. And I think before then, I want to have a not super stable, not great build, but that we just give to our friends. Basically, the build that we kind of have now. Some of the early testing stuff is not as fully featured. Like we don't really have a whole lot of working games as kind of a base set of stuff we want to show in July, but we do have a working system.
Yeah.
So anyway, just kind of rushing and struggling to get everything together and moving from here and there and like staying up too late. And I looked at how purple my eyes were, like underneath my eyes, and I was like, those are some purple eyelids, It's like
no, my eyes I get like a dark brown or ring under my eyes.
Yeah, see, I guess you have you naturally like have the benefit of you can't see darkness because you are darkness.
I am darkness. I'm the night. I'm Batman or something.
When I started to say that sentence, I was like, "Fuck! How do I make this not sound like bad?" And then whatever. You're darkness now. Went for it. Anyway, yeah, just a whole lot of work. We can kind of go through the stuff list down the list, or how about you describe the state of home games?
Sure. I would say that it is vastly improved to where it was, honestly, like even a month ago.
Why are you talking shit about me a month ago, dude?
I think you would have talked shit about you a month ago.
I would talk shit about me every day.
I can only imagine how many times you've opened up a file and like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, dude. Like, I joke all the time, like, where I'll be like, "Oh man, who wrote this?" or what was this person thinking? But when I was going through the home games dashboard, which was at that point like years of multiple different versions all kind of intertwined and spaghettied together, I legitimately had the idea because I was like so detached from it. I was like, who the fuck wrote this? And then it like didn't click. It wasn't like a joke, it was just so foreign to me, like the ideas that I was reading through. And like, what is this? Sorry. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's like a brief top level synopsis. I think that the most interesting pieces to it Yeah, okay. I think the most interesting pieces to it that are like probably new, or maybe we didn't talk about fully, was the workflow for approval, like from like submitting a game to the end of that. I think that's really interesting. That's really cool. I think that the new versioning thing works, and I did have something that I would add on to the versioning thing, so I don't know how you want to do those two, and then maybe the rest stuff afterwards.
I don't know. I think you should drive this one because it feels like the past few have been. I'm just like. Going list by list, it's like so the JavaScript runtime environment, you know whatever. I just like go. Yeah. So I think you should run it, and then we can figure it out.
Okay, that works for me. I'm going to start with the versioning. So, for people who don't know, we've basically always wanted to have versions of games, right? We wanted you to be able to have like, version 1 of your game, and then, maybe you put out a patch, so it's like version 1.1, version 1.2, version 2, that kind of like flow in the same way that like NPM does its versioning, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So really what Joseph just showed me right now, and I think is like really cool, is the way that the versioning can kind of play nicely, where you have like a listed version of the game, which is like a set version of the game. And you also have like the unlisted version of the game, which is basically like the game that hasn't been, fully approved yet. But we'll get into like the approval process afterwards. But so like so for example, like you have approved version of the game and you have it downloaded on your computer. That's like version, we'll say X. Then you have an unlisted version of that game. Let's say maybe X+1, X-1, right? As you load up that version, that like unlisted version, it tells you this version isn't approved, and it gives you the ability to jump through to the most recently approved version, or you can stay on your current version and actually like try to play the game out. I feel like, for me anyway, the way that I would say like unlisted versions I would like to see work is more like play testing, like beta testing of your game before it gets completely published, or like reviewed and like out into the wild, like maybe like you and your friends play it and just see how it goes, stuff like that, and like having it work through Homegames. But yeah, I think that's really cool. I did have a question on there, and it's about that plus the dashboard. Mm-hmm. Should the dashboard be versioned and in its own repository in the same way that a game is or could be?
It's a good question. It's interesting. I don't know. I think the way I've been approaching it up to this point has been everything in the source directory. Like everything in the Homegames core directory is not versioned by us because it's versioned by Git, by Git history or actual code itself. And that's technically true for everything people submit because it's all based in Git, at least at the moment. But anyway, no, I like the idea from like if I was on the other side as a consumer, I love the Xbox 360 blades. Like the when the Xbox 360 was new, the dashboard was that blades. I don't know if you remember it, but it was like these tabbed kind of things that were all vertically like aligned or whatever, and you would move left and right through these things. And I think a lot of people have just a nostalgia for that, which is kind of the equivalent, right, of like their dashboard, whatever, for the Homegames dashboard thing. And it's kind of funny to think that anybody would ever have nostalgia for Homegames, but as a customer, I would want that, but I don't really see the need, and I think it would add more complexity than it would give us because the Homegames dashboard is special. It's nice to think about it as just a game because it's rendered the same way a game is, but it has permissions that other games don't. It has access to it has closer access to the game session than it does to other games because, for example, the Homegames dashboard can start a game session. Excuse me. So I think it's a fun idea, and I do think that having the Git history is nice. I think it'd be cool to be able to, just pull a random Git commit 10 years from now and have it just work like it used to. I don't think that's really how it'll work. Just because, an NPM repository can go away somehow. I don't know how anything happens, but, we rely so much on like kind of systems that aren't guaranteed to be forever. So I don't know what it'll look like, but I just think the idea of having that versioning is nice, but I don't think we should really do extra work for it.
The reason I was asking about that primarily was if we ever needed to like push out an update on the dashboard, right now, if somebody had the binaries, or like not the binaries, yeah, like the binaries, I don't know how they would get the new version of the dashboard.
They would have to download a new binary, because that binary encompasses all of the versioning changes, whatever, for each thing of Homegames Core, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then all the games people would play are outside of Homegames Core. But even if they had a binary, it would be nice to do like self-updating, which I guess is kind of related. If we have some sort of a client that, I was just complaining about the webcam software doing this, because it's like, hey, there's a firmware update. Like if it was able to just do that on its own. But I also think it's cool if you just don't give a fuck. Like shortcut is really annoying. That's what I use to edit our videos. It'll just be there constantly. A new version's available. A new version's available. It's like, I don't need to self-update. If I want to just live in a cave and play Homegames version 0.3, that's cool.
I mean, at a certain point, I feel like they would have a hard time getting new games, but that's probably fine.
Yeah, well, that actually kind of leads in. Well, I don't have this as a topic really, but I need to test over the next few weeks. I need to test offline mode more, because in theory we support offline stuff, and I used to kind of build features with that in mind. And over time, I've started to go into this landlord and services and HTTP requests for everything and stuff. So I'll have to do some more testing for offline. But I do want to make it so a caveman person, like let's say that the cave also had a router and power. But like no internet. Let's not be crazy.
No external internet, intranet.
Yeah, it had a network that it was able to whatever.
Yeah.
And so that caveman and his cave family should be able to play home games together.
Yeah, I respect that cave person's ability to play home games.
We're really all inclusive,
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, that was just my thought on offline stuff and whatever. But what were we saying before? Just talking about the dashboard.
Yeah, I was just asking like, should the dashboard be versioned outside of Core? But it seems like we're okay with it not being versioned outside of Core.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I imagine it would just be us updating the Homegames Core stuff and then updating the entire thing in one big go. Mm-hmm. And then for actual games, which I imagine will be updated far more often, right? Like,
yeah,
that was originally why we did this whole publishing thing, because originally we were talking about us like reviewing every game that ever came through everything. Like,
yeah.
Here's a pull request, put it into Homegames, and it could be like 30,000 lines, and we'd be like, yeah, we'll get back to you with our like jobs and lives and stuff. So this model now where it's just like, yeah, give us the code. If it passes some automated system, it can live in our system. But if you want us to review it and for it to be seeable by people, which we'll talk about, right? The publishing stuff, that'll be our next thing, I guess. But if you want it to be seen by people, then you involve humans. Yeah, so I think that system just works.
If you want it to be publicly visible to other people.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I do think it's funny how we were like, yeah, we'll review every game.
Yeah, it was such like a foreign idea. We were still just trying to flesh out like what it looks like to submit a game to the actual community.
I think even if we had like 10 games submitted to us right now, they'd become a backlog very quickly.
Well, yeah, and then just think about like the backlog. Yes, it would be a huge bottleneck for like the growth of the system overall, but it would also be like a liability where you and I review everything, and we have to review everything. Like think about what this model would have looked like. You and I review everything. We're exhausted. You just worked for like 10 hours, and then you go on your thing, and then some fucker puts like a badly formatted, barely like readable code, garbage ass thing. You try to run it and it's like 12 frames a second, and you're trying to give it like a thorough, honest playthrough to give it a review, just to say it's good in the system. You know what I mean? Like it's like crazy, but then you're liable in case anything goes wrong. Where it's like, hey, this is straight up like mining Bitcoin, and we're just like, oh shit, I must have missed that. Whereas if you just limit the number of publicly available things, say like you have to get it through this kind of automated system before you can publish something publicly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If somebody did do that with our current setup for Home Dome, not disallowing requests outside of like the Homegames network, and also disallowing you to access the file system outside of how Homegames wants to do it, it'd be incredible. That person really would have set up a lot of work.
Wait, what do you mean?
To like download, to like mine Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, if they somehow built a whole. But I mean, and that's like the thing I always say, where if someone went through that amount of work, we're so established that we're probably making money in some way, so we can actually like work on that fix.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a. It's like a.
We hire that person, offer them a job. Like, damn, you figured it out. You come work for us. Stop mining Bitcoin with our software, though.
Yeah, we'll work like the CIA or whoever. We'll just get everybody who's wronged us to work for us, or we'll take them to fucking prison. But however,
there are a lot of jokes in there that I won't make right now. maybe outside of the podcast. All right. Do you have anything else on the approval? Not on the approval stuff. On the dashboard versioning stuff.
No. Yeah, I agree that the warning stuff is helpful.
I think it's really cool.
Like when I go to a Slack application, I compared this to Slack before because I've worked with the Slack API like in a couple different ways, but a Slack application kind of has this model where you make it and then it's kind of unlisted, and anybody who tries to install it, they'll be like, hey, we don't know what the fuck this is. And then you can submit it to be reviewed, and then it'll be kind of published in this marketplace type of thing, which is essentially what we're doing. So I think having that big clear warning is pretty important for us.
Yeah, I do agree. I also I'll explain this part maybe, that it doesn't download the game immediately. It waits until you're like, until after you've seen the warning, and then hit play in order to download the game. I think that's really cool. That's really smart.
Yeah, imagine like in Google Chrome, you go to a weird ass website, and then you click a button, and it starts downloading a file, and it opens up an exe, and then Google Chrome is like, "Hey, you just downloaded maybe a virus."
Yeah, not great. Not a great look. Yeah.
And so for the data to be organized in a correct way, I needed to rethink a lot of the, like I talked about before, the model of like a game that exists on your local file system that came with Homegames in like the source directory, versus a game that someone just published and was downloaded to your local file system. Versus a game that you search for that is you have metadata for, but you don't have the actual code for, which is what what we just said, where it's you have the warning thing, which we're talking about the publishing kind of pipeline, this like tree. I don't know if you can see it behind us in the video, but it's this decision tree where, I don't know if you want to describe it or I can describe it, but it's basically just a process of what happens when games are published.
Yeah.
And basically the state that we're talking about now, where a game is warning, is where a person has submitted a game, it's passed our automated systems, it exists in our database, and it's kind of in its confirmed state as like it is a game. But the person has not submitted it to be approved yet. This is kind of the major difference between what the system was like before, where we have an actual kind of explicit approval request, as opposed to automatically every game going to be reviewed by us. It's just a game is kind of unlisted by default. So if a game is unlisted, then say like I'm testing it and I want to send it to a friend, I can send that friend my game ID and version ID. So this has not been approved by any human at like in the Homegames administrative team or whatever you would call us.
You and me.
Yeah, us. I mean, yeah, it's us. But the Homegames admins. So it hasn't been reviewed by us, and it's just unlisted. So you can get a Facebook message, or however the kids communicate. My God, I feel old for saying Facebook message. However people talk, you get a message that says, "Here's my game ID, my version ID." You, using your Homegames client, can access their game by having those IDs directly, and then it'll bring you to the little view that says, "Hey, you can play this if you want, but we have no fucking idea what it is." It just passed our automation, but anybody can get around automation if you try hard enough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that maybe we should go through like the whole process. So
yeah,
you're sitting in your mom's basement. You're like, all right, I finished. I wrapped it up. My greatest work. My
magnum opus.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my modus operandi, which I think is just your way you operate.
It's like your goal, right?
Yeah. I think it's like how you. Anyway. Yeah. So okay. So you're sitting in your mom's basement. You're like, okay, hell yeah, I got this thing out now, and you upload it to Homegames. So that's the process that we're gonna want to talk about right now. So step 1, submitting. You're in your mom's basement. You put it in. Homegames is like, thank you. We will take a look at this. So that's step 1. You submit. Then your game is in the submitted state. From there, we have like an automated process where Homegames, primarily Homedome, I assume, will actually like do its side of thing. It's like the automated test to make sure that your code at least doesn't break what like the limiters we've put in place that Homedome is meant to like test for. So from submitted, you're in your processing state, Homedome does its thing. We're going to say your code succeeds for right now, right? Your code succeeds. It's now in the waiting for confirmation step. This is the step that we were talking about earlier where you, the creator of the game, or like the holder of that GitHub account, needs to confirm that this is your game and you wanted it to be on Homegames unlisted for right now. You approve it, right? You're so excited. You approve it. So now we're in the unlisted stage. So unlisted stage that we were talking about earlier, where all these other steps had to have happened. The game had to have been like processed by Homedome. It had to be approved by the GitHub owner, or at least the email tied to the GitHub account that did the submission process. But anyway, so this is the point where you now have an unlisted game. You have the ability to give it to your friends, family, the internet, and they can use that information to actually like download your game and play your game. But somebody like me, who isn't your friend probably, looking at the games available on Homegames, I wouldn't find your game. It's not on any of the public lists yet. To get it onto the public lists, Joseph or I, the admin team, will need to review your game. One part I'm not clear on is, do we just review all games still, or is there like a request to get your game reviewed?
There's a request.
Okay.
So on the website, when you go to homegames.io, you publish your game. And just after that confirmation step, just after the GitHub owner has clicked the approve button for the game to be published, there is now a new game version. So the outcome of a publish request is a game version.
Mm-hmm.
And that game version can either be unlisted or public. Yeah. So in that case, it's unlisted. And in the kind of table that you see on the website, there's a little button that says submit for approval or submit review or something like that. Mm-hmm. And at that point, that's when it notifies us that someone wants to be kind of published in the catalog.
Hey. Yeah. So, okay. So that makes sense. So you now request to us, we will review your game in a relatively timely fashion.
No guarantees, though.
Given our lives, we will review your games as soon as we could.
Yeah.
If it is approved, boom, your game is published. Now Yazeed, the Yazeed who didn't review your game previously, but is like, man, I really want to play this sick game I'm hearing all about on Homegames, I can find it on the public site at that point. So once all these things are completed, boom, it's up available on Homegames. The whole internet can find your game, download it, play it, enjoy it, leave a review, like, comment, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? If at any point during that process is a failure, though, we do notify you of the failure. And I assume we do, part of that notification is like, your game failed in this step for this reason. Yeah,
so we'll say when we were trying to check your file structure, we noticed that you were missing an index.js. Or it could be, this would be a future thing, where like, hey, when we were running your game, we noticed that there's no render logic, there's no render state, whatever. These kinds of things, which would be more in the guts. But we have the ability to, at every point, to know where we are and then tell you where it failed at each step.
Nice. Okay. Excuse me. And is that true about Homedome too? I was thinking more like, if the Homedome step fails, is that are the errors that creates robust and legible to not us?
Yeah, so like, well, Homedome is the one running all of those checks. So it'll be like, hey, I'm checking index.js. Mm-hmm. I'm opening up index.js and like, running it, and then doing a couple little checks. And so at each point we know what we're doing or whatever, and then we get the error from whatever happens, and then we kind of send that back out and associate it to the request. At the moment, we don't notify you. That's something that I need to add, but we just have record of the failure and at what step it failed.
Oh, okay. Nice. That makes sense. Yeah, well, once that's added, I think that's pretty much good enough as far as I can tell.
Totally. Yeah.
Bam. Yeah, so that's like the whole process. So assuming all those things all those things succeeded, you would have gone through you uploading your game, the Homedome finding your game acceptable, you confirming that it's your game, you asking for it to go to us for review, us reviewing it properly, and then boom, it's on the public site.
It sounds like a lot of steps, but each of them is like a button click. It's relatively seamless. I gotta say, you know, as a guy who wrote it all, built it all, it's pretty fucking cool.
I mean, it's not, it does sound like a lot, but there's really not that much overhead on the person uploading the game. Really what we're asking you to do is upload your game, confirm that it was you who wanted to upload your game, and if you so choose to make your game public, to ask to make your game public. I feel like that's only 3 things for them to do. And for us, we also really only need to worry about like the last step, like, oh, a game is being requested for us to review, because up until this point it's all automated. We didn't do anything.
That's true.
So there's 3 in 1 step.
Yeah,
which is pretty good odds. That's like a pretty good ratio. I feel like 3 to 1.
Totally. You're right. I think it's because we're more on the engineering side. We think about literally every step involved in a process, and we might explain it in such a way where it sounds like it's a lot. But I've noticed as I've gotten older, and as I've worked in this whole stuff more, that's the whole point of marketing and design. It's like you get some nerdy, sweaty fuck being like, "Oh, there's so many steps. We have to send it off to the home dome with it. It's a synchronous queue." It's just like, oh, shut the fuck up, you know? And then you got to turn it all into buttons. That's all anybody cares about. Is like, what buttons do I hit?
Yeah. And
so you only need the absolute minimum thing. Publishing to YouTube is not very complicated or not very simple. Like, it's a 4-step wizard every time you do it. It's like what, and then there's drop downs, there's checkboxes. It's pretty complicated, and they've done work to make it relatively painless. But if you had their their sweatiest dude, to explain the whole process, you'd be talking for hours. No, you wouldn't say anything. He'd be talking for hours.
A one-sided conversation.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's like me.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so to me, like basically like what we went over, I think those are like the 2 major, like really big important pieces. At least I hadn't seen, but I think they're really good. That's what I was saying. Like even from last month to now, it's like a huge upgrade. But also like this is like a working thing. Like you can make games with this. You can put games out with this.
Yeah, like I've talked about the moment before where I kind of got everything clicking, and it was in that demo that I did where I like on camera like busted because it was all working, you know. And this one last night when I put up the code review and I was like happy with it. I was actually happy with it. It wasn't like, wow, that fucking works. I can't believe that works. It's like, yeah, that works. It works consistently. It's pretty stable. Everything that's not, I know how to get it there. And like, I could stop.
Nice.
Not like I will, or you know what I mean, but like I could stop.
Yeah.
If I were to get hit by a bus tomorrow, it's like, okay, well, I did what I wanted to with Homegames. Someone either saw it and they took it and it became something better, or it was a shit idea, but I tried it. You know, it's like, but that's it. That whole thing is like the end-to-end proof of concept.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a very cool moment.
Yeah, that's super dope. Yeah, when you showed it to me, I'm like, that's like a full thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. I don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot. Basically, like, I view my life in waves or like eras.
Yeah.
So you think about everything up to until when you get out of college or whatever you do when you're like 18.
We got into college at 18.
I know, but not everybody goes to college. You know, some people like whatever you do. But it's like chunks where it's elementary school is a chunk, before that is a chunk, middle school is a chunk, high school is a chunk, college is a chunk. So it's like these 4 to 5 year things, and you kind of reflect. At least I kind of reflect in terms of these chunks. And so like college was the chunk after school, living in Seattle and having like a big tech job, fancy boy, learning the world, realizing I'm really angry on the inside. That's like that's like the chunk after college, right?
All right.
And so, or sorry, after that, and so in there is like this 4-year chunk of Homegames from 2018 to now I've been working on. And it's like, you know, damn, my mustache is long enough where if I do this, you hear it in the mic.
Nice.
That's
bro.
like some big baller shit, dude.
There you go.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like the end of a chunk, I guess. I don't really know what the next thing is, but it's not like this thing ends. If this thing gets any sort of traction, literally, like if someone looks at the logo for more than 3 seconds, I'll be like, all right, I'm back in it, you know. and I'll like super bust my ass to make this thing as like great as I like think it could be.
Yeah.
But I'm really just kind of tired. Like right now, I'm just tired as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, you've been putting in hours. I see commits coming in at like late at night.
Yeah, like the other night I was up till 4. I woke up at 8. I worked on Homegames, and then I took a nap, and then I worked on it again till like midnight, and then here we are. That was last night, whatever.
God.
So it's like, yeah, man. I don't know. I'm just very happy with it. Like all this stuff. There's a song I listen to. It has the Migos in it, and I forget the song. I forget whatever. But there's a part where I think it's Quavo, and he's like, "You the same fella that said I wouldn't make it. I put in 1,000 hours." And he's like, I don't know. You ever heard the thing where it's like to be great at anything, you got to put in 10,000 hours?
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's referencing that and he's just fucking up the number, but because he says 1,000 hours. But then I was thinking, like, 1,000 hours. Have I put in 1,000 hours in the Homegames? Like, have I earned the arrogance to say that, like, you thought I wouldn't make it? I put in 287 hours. You know what I mean? Like, can I do that? But also 1,000 hours is only half a year of work, half a year of full-time job. You know, it's not that crazy. It's not like you don't really deserve anything after 1,000 hours. You know?
That's depressing. I didn't think 1,000 hours was only half a year of full-time work, but also,
yeah, it's like
how many
2,000
hours do I spend working? But yeah,
there you go. Look at the upside.
but I was going to say, like, I think that it's a little bit different because I imagine his saying, like, his 1,000 hours was he put in, like, that's what he did. But, like, Homegames is only what you get to do when you're not on the clock or have your other life commitments.
That's true though, but that's what makes me question my own Sigma grind set. You know?
God, yeah, right.
Because I don't know if I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if this could be. It could definitely be better. I wasn't gonna say that, but I mean, there's a version of me that like quits everything and does this instead, and I don't know what that version of me looks like. You know? Unless in like 6 months we have. Literally anybody looking at the logo, I'll quit everything, dude. I'll fucking risk it all for this.
I don't know. There's an interesting stat that like indie games, the ones that are successful are the ones where the principal person for it got to quit everything and they weren't their primary income. Mm-hmm. So, not looking good statistically. But that's only like a statistic. Also, that's like very, I don't know. There's something weird about that statistic in the first place because like it makes sense, but also like why would that like that's like correlation, not causation.
Yeah.
Like you quitting your job doesn't make your game good, but you quitting your job is correlated to your game becoming good.
I think it would light a fire under you. I think especially if you like, well, I've got however much in savings. That's however much of runway for me to live and just put all my everything into this. But I don't know.
No, I think that what that was is that like you're a partner or a spouse or something that's the primary income earner. It'd be like if you quit and Synovia was like, "Don't worry, honey, I'll pay the bills for you. You make Homegames."
Can you imagine? I'd marry her again.
Somebody send that to Synovia. Make it happen. Yeah, I don't know. That's like if I understood that stat correctly when I first read it like 2 years ago now. That's how I understood it.
Well, I don't believe statistics, so that's
good. It's probably for the best. Yeah, like the dude who made, I think it's a dude still. I think that they realized that they were trans. So whatever, I don't know the person's name. So the person who made Celeste, like the indie game Celeste, like wildly popular, they weren't their primary income earner. I think they had like a partner that was like the primary income earner.
I think Stardew Valley as well.
Yeah,
that's the case. But anyway, yeah. Fuck. Oh yeah, but also I would say that this isn't a game.
Yeah, that's
Like,
the thing too.
It's not like we've made things. I think I've said this before. We've made things that are technically considered games, like on a technical level, because they're games. You know, like click a button, something happens, something moves, whatever.
Yeah.
But we haven't made it. You've made Square. It's the closest thing to a game. But when I actually make a game, I would say that's probably in a few months. I'm gonna make tests. I would say like the chess test I'm gonna make to just figure out how to play chess and rebuild it in home games. Like that's kind of a game, but it's not really a game because it's so established. Like it's not my own. You know what I mean? It's like making Pong. It's like you didn't really make a game. Square, that's like a whole new IP.
Square is just Frogger.
Don't tell them, dude. The FBI watches this podcast.
It's in the name. The FBI watches this podcast.
They're all the views that we see. Dude. It's all the agents.
Well, I guess we could figure out who was our agent then.
Yeah. Fuck, what was I going to say before thinking about a game? Yeah, so recently I did one thing that I didn't tell you about before we recorded.
Oh?
It's pretty stupid. And I shouldn't have done it. It's a lesson to myself. Actually, I should have done it. Fuck that. It's a lesson to myself to not listen to lessons. Because that's what I ended up doing.
Okay.
Let me tell you more. We said like 3 months ago, that we wouldn't do any more new features.
Yeah,
like cutting it, no more new stuff, just making it solid, fixing up everything that we have.
Yeah.
And probably about a week and a half ago, before any of these improvements were really here and this dashboard and all this stuff were as stable as it is, I started looking into online multiplayer, like real multiplayer, because everything for a lot of people, especially software developers, is remote now, and for a lot of people with like fancy ass jobs, it's all remote and stuff. So there's this kind of need for shit to do in your happy hours. When you're awkwardly like drinking a Budweiser on Zoom,
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And it's just like, oh, what do you guys want to do? You went to the movies? Oh, fuck, dude. Crazy,
Yeah.
So you need to have something to do. So home games would be really cool. And I mean, Pico de Gallo is a nice demo of home games and is publicly available and all that. So technically, if you wanted to play something with someone on home games publicly, you can use Pico de Gallo as the demo thing. But I think in an ideal world, I can run home games on my network here, just like always, and have people be able to play with me in the same house and on the same network. But it would be really cool to be able to make the room publicly available. And so someone can over the internet play using like a room code. And so I spent some time looking into how to get that working. And basically the idea is, and it was before, like for spectators, I was thinking about how would you get spectators working in a scalable way? Like how would 1,000 people, which isn't even that much, how would 1,000 people spectate a home games game? Never mind the use case, how likely is that? Probably not at all, but just how could we do it kind of hypothetically? And it would likely involve the home game server, the one server, having an open socket connection to some other server that we maintain, kind of just piping its state to us. We then mirror that out and basically broadcast it to all of our clients. So all the scalability stuff is handled by us. There's just kind of one consistent stream happening from the home games client like into our infrastructure for us to spread it around, right?
Yeah.
And so then I was thinking, how would we get that infrastructure working? What would it look like? How would we have kind of a nice scalable WebSocket? So I was looking at AWS and what's available to us, and API Gateway and Lambda is something that I spent quite a bit of time looking into. Basically, for those unfamiliar, Lambda is serverless, which isn't actually serverless, but it's basically you just write a function and then Amazon will worry about all the infrastructure stuff for it. So you kind of just worry about the code. So the thing with API Gateway is that you can deploy that Lambda behind a load balancer and have basically have like a more traditional HTTP web request response structure with your Lambda. And they also support sockets. So you can open up a I don't actually know how the technical stuff of it works on their side. I would imagine that they open up like one main socket connection to the API gateway port or whatever it is that they have exposed, and then they're calling different lambdas because like if you're writing a standard WebSocket server, you would say, WebSocket server on connection, and then you would get like a WS object, like the actual client, and then you would listen for individual events, like when they send a message, when they close, when they whatever. But these are all separate events that you kind of start to listen for once you get the connection.
Mm-hmm.
The Lambda API gateway stuff handles that connection for you, and then you just write Lambda handlers for each of the events. So like you get one for on message, you get one for on connect, you get one for on end. I think that's how it works. And then you can send messages back to them through this API gateway SDK that they give you. You don't communicate back with like the socket session or like the socket object directly. You communicate through API gateway back to the client with an ID. It's kind of confusing. And I don't know how it performs. But one of the downsides is that the maximum socket connection is 2 hours on API gateway. I don't imagine a lot of home game sessions will last longer than 2 hours, but if we were to use API gateway, we wouldn't be able to do that, or we would have to have some sort of workaround where we move between sessions when yours is about to expire. Or whatever, something like that. But then also there's a limit on the size of packets, like of the messages that you can send through. At the moment, we send pretty big message sizes over the WebSocket because we send like assets, base 64 encoded assets, which is like images and audio files and stuff like that. So it could be megabytes, and I think the limit on API gateway is like 128K. So we would have to chunk up our messages manually, and that would be a pain in the ass. So basically, all of that stuff I spent looking into, like with this fucking unhinged idea that I would get it all done before the end of next month, and I would just kind of like fit it in alongside everything else, which is that the real lesson is learning that I can't do that. But the thing that I'm glad I did is looking into it just to have an idea of how we would potentially do this remote access in the future. It would be pretty easy. You would give you as the Homegames session runner, right, in your house, you open up Homegames, you have the dashboard locally, you go to settings, there's some button there that says make public. And you say yes, and then it gives you a 4 or 5 digit code. You give that 4 or 5 digit code to somebody, they go to Homegames dot whatever, give it that code, that dot whatever will check probably a Redis cache saying this code corresponds to this IP of this host, which I have a session for here. So basically I'm going to take this code and use it as like a secret for this connection that I have access to here, and then you can either spectate or play. But this sounds like a more fully fleshed out feature that requires some time and planning and all that kind of stuff, but it does seem possible. So I guess that's my takeaway.
Nice.
Yeah. Very technical. Very fucking cool, though.
I did have a question, though. Like, if somebody exposed their... how do I explain? Like, if somebody exposed the ports that Homegames gets requests on, and, like, put it... basically, like how Pico de Gallo, like, works behind the scenes, right? If I did that on my home computer and my home computer is acting as like the server, couldn't people remotely like connect to it anyway and like play that way?
If you wanted to manually expose the port?
Yeah, like if I set it up on like my computer to be like this port's actually like accessible from outside of my network and accepts and responds and all that stuff.
Yeah, you totally could. I just imagine, and it's already a very like niche technical thing to even run home games, but I imagine just to make it as easy as possible, you don't want to fuck with like port forwarding or whatever on your computer. Yeah. That's like scary to people when they have to go to their router like web page thing.
It looks like it was written in like the 90s.
Exactly.
All of them do.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you totally could set it up by yourself, and it's more than cool to do that. I think it would just be nice to be able to say like, hey, regular person, here's a code. Literally, like from wherever you are in the world, go to this website, put this code in, you can play a game with me that I literally just made. And I'm playing with people in my house.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? That's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited, dude. I'm like so tired, but I'm excited as fuck. It's like so cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be super dope. I'm very excited too. I mean, even though we don't live that far away from each other, it is easier to not have to drive to the other person's house to just play a game. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, and just think about like testing. Say that you and I wanted to make a game together. Just think about how quick and how easy it would be to just iterate. Where I'm making it, okay, start server. Hey, Yazeed, here's the code.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you could screen share and you could do traditional methods of remote work, but I want to make a whole system for it because whatever.
Well, like that screen sharing, that would be like that would be kind of a nightmare though. I feel like if both people were running it or something like that, it would be a little bit easier.
Yeah. Or yeah.
Unless you're doing like paired review or something like this. That's I think where screen sharing has like its benefits over it. But that's less about home games specifically, more about my theory on coding.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't really have much else. I guess there's the stuff that's other minor changes. There's a ton of minor changes that we've made that I don't know how interesting they are.
What's your favorite minor change?
It's a fun question. How minor is minor? Like updated the formatting, or I don't know. I'm really just happy with how solid that dashboard feels.
Yeah.
Like the view, you and I. So a couple months back, I defined that whole view interface, which made sense to me at the time, and still does. It's just I described it on the podcast. I went and built it, fucking blacked out, built it, integrated it with the dashboard, came back, talked about it. After that, you and I sat down and went through all the views and how it was all working on the dashboard. And I was reading the code and like, what? I'm putting these numbers here and they're not doing what I think they should be doing, and this isn't clear. And I'm like, I thought I just knew it, right? In the back of my head, I thought I just knew it. And when I started explaining it to you, and I was like, well, this is a fucking terrible explanation. I don't know what the hell's going on. And so, going back and just rewriting the dashboard to make my use of that view library more clear of how I was doing it. And it all clicks way better now. I think, I don't know what the fuck I did originally, but just how much better that stuff is my favorite overall change. For minor, I'd say having custom ports. I didn't like before that you couldn't configure which ports everything runs on. Mm-hmm. And it kind of gave me anxiety about other people using it, because it's like, well, this only works on my computer because I have these ports exposed and I don't have anything else running on them, so whatever. But that was like a really small one that I'm happy I got figured out.
That makes sense. Do you have a least favorite?
My least
Instead of going through all of them, I feel like just getting the max and the minimum.
Yeah. My least favorite, I think, was probably redoing all of the stuff for the publishing. Mm-hmm. So, because like this chart that I have behind us that we talked about before, this confirmation and approval and publishing process. Before, all the words were different because the process was different. It was all like automated pushing through, and there was like a published, and there was like a review after a published. Doesn't make any sense. If it's published, it's published. Anyway, renaming things and kind of just going through a pretty standard like workflow. Mm-hmm. It's kind of boring, but nothing that I hated. Nothing where I was just like fuck, like while typing the whole time.
Fair.
Yeah. So the next thing I need to do is I just need to go through the current pull request that's up is massive. It's like 1,000 new lines, 1,000 removed lines. A lot of the stuff is deleted, but a lot of it is just like cleaner versions of what was there before. So I'll be making a few more pull requests over the next 3 weeks or so to just polish the games that we have there, polish whatever other stuff that comes up, and just make it as good as possible. And small incremental changes that'll be less than 1,000 lines. So while you're reviewing this one, I'm going to get our build system in place again. I used to have a good build script and process to getting like our binaries published. So I need to kind of go revisit that. I wrote a new script that'll let me from the command line just publish a new build from a given commit. So that's what I'm actually going to do, like on launch day, is take the final build and hit the button on it. So I wrote the tool to do that. And so anyway, basically just a lot of cleanup, a lot of little stuff. But like I said, as of last night, like my major contribution is like complete.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to play some video games. I'm still gonna work on this shit. Like I'm still gonna absolutely thrash cheeks, you know, like for the next 3 weeks in terms of effort.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take a vacation in July. I'm going to Alaska in August.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. So, anyway,
You excited?
I'm excited for vacation. I'm excited to not feel guilty in my free time. That's the thing, dude. I've been spiraling lately. Like I just need to do something constantly, or else I just like am thinking too much. I don't know, man. I'm fine. Everything's great.
And on July 1st, we're having brisket.
Yes, yeah. I ordered a brisket. So on July 1st, which is a Friday, I'm gonna be smoking that brisket throughout the day. Mm-hmm. You are gonna come over. Should I invite JC?
I'm gonna invite JC.
I'll invite JC, and we'll record a podcast on the night of July 1st, and that's when we'll actually launch as well. I just want to record that whole process, and then we'll record that as the podcast.
Okay.
Which will be released on the 6th or whatever. So I think we've got 2 more episodes before then. We got this one coming. Shit, hold on, let me double check. This one's coming out Wednesday the somethingth, Wednesday the 8th, then the 20th. Oh shit, we've only got 1 more recorded episode until the actual launch. So this one's going out the 8th. The next one we're recording before the 22nd, going out the 22nd. And then the following one is July 6th. So we're recording that one on the 1st. I'm making brisket. We're celebrating. And then I'm taking a big nap. Big nap.
Yeah. We should probably, the week before the launch, not do a podcast necessarily, but go over everything and make sure that we're on the same page.
So then before the weekend before the 1st,
yeah,
just make sure everything is in order.
Yeah, so that way we just can enjoy the 1st. We aren't like fucking, like the like I Am Developer Twitter account and his like push for like don't deploy on Fridays.
Yeah.
I've become like a real like don't deploy on Fridays kind of guy. If that makes sense, like in this context, like I don't want it to be like, all right, Yazeed, Joseph, like we're gonna launch this thing, and then the night before you're like busy, fucking, Pico de Gallo went down again. Like I would hate that because you also are doing all the work to make the brisket.
Yeah, well, the brisket should be done before we actually hit the button. It should be resting by the time you actually get here. But no, I was actually gonna say, I think I hype myself up a lot. Where in my head, this is like the coolest shit ever because it's been such a big part of my life for 4 years, and I just want to make people believe it's cool. Mm-hmm. But there's no actual proof. We can put this out, and people can just not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Not even like, and that's worse than hating it. Just not give a fuck. Not even give you the time to look at it.
Man.
What like, and you're not owed anything, whatever. So I've been hyping myself up, thinking like, man, July 1st, I'm gonna make $1 million. Just like we don't even charge money.
Yeah, we have no income on this. Unless you have like ad revenue on the Homegames IO site.
Yeah, maybe we'll somehow figure out a brand deal day one. Fucking.
You can put Google ads on any site.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna put Google ads on our shit. It makes it look terrible.
Yeah, it really does.
It lowers the value of your site so much, like the perceived value of your website when you have fucking Google ads. Like, shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
No, but anyway, in my head, I've been hyping it up. Like, oh yeah, July 1st. My problems are all solved. I'm gonna be able to sleep well. My fucking back won't be so tight. And then I've been realizing like, well, that's an arbitrary day that I picked. And then just realizing how fake everything is. Where it's, you remember how in high school, Mr. Clifford would be like, if aliens came here from another country, they would think that we worship the clock.
From another country, another planet.
Yeah.
I said, I'll save you this time. We're being canceled. Well, you're really towing the line with that one.
Aliens from another planet came in and think that we worship the clock because we're all just looking at it constantly, and it's what we do next. It's what we just do. It's constantly there.
Yeah.
And, just kind of like, it's like everything is made up.
Yeah.
Time is kind of made up. It's
completely made up.
It's like an observation of something. It's like a made up observation of something that's real. It's like gravity.
Time, yeah.
But we made it up.
Okay, that one I have a harder time saying we made up. Time we arbitrarily were like 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like we made that piece up.
But not the actual concept of like right now is a different time than it was when I started saying this sentence.
Yeah, but
like that is an observable reality that we made up a name for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I don't understand your point on gravity, but continue.
That's the same thing. Gravity really exists.
Fucking-
Like, for real, we get pulled to the earth because there's this, like, big and shit.
Yeah.
But it's not called gravity. We made that up. The 9.81, we
Are you
observed
saying...
that.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything is made up.
Yeah.
The words I'm saying to you are made up.
What?
Okay, don't make me say it again. I'll clean. The words I'm saying to you are made up. Now I sound insane, but, like, it makes sense.
Have you ever heard the, like, from New Girl, the character Nick on that show is like, I don't know if I learned to read or if I just memorized a bunch of words. I feel like whoever he was talking to hearing that, I'm like, what the fuck? But I think I agree or understand what you're talking about.
We observe natural systems
Yeah.
that are not made up as far as we can tell.
Yeah.
Because the world that we recognize is real, is not made up. It's like
Right.
an actual reality.
Okay.
We as humans observe those things and make up systems to understand them.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
So basically life is hard and I've made up a system telling myself that Homegames is my solution and that all of my stress will be gone on July 1st, only to then realize that that system was made by me and I'm a fool. You know?
Fair. Yeah,
So-
I got you.
Anyway, I'm just looking forward to the next phase of this. Either people like it and it becomes something, even like for the smallest possible impact, like someone just learning anything or like building something that they're proud of or like having fun.
Yeah.
If I can like build a thing that does that, it's like that's great, you know?
Yeah.
But if not, then I'll just play video games and kind of regret my life. So, you know, it's all good.
Jesus. Think of all the stuff you learned about home games.
That's true. I've learned so much doing this shit, like more than a job, and it's all self-directed. So, you know, you learn a ton of stuff. I'm not better at any of it now, but I've learned about a lot of things. I've learned about everything I'm bad at.
Sick, bro.
Okay, so we have a bunch of stuff probably that we could talk about, but I don't really care about smaller technical details. We covered all the major stuff.
Yeah.
I put in way more than 1,000 hours, now that I think about it.
You're in that, like, don't fear a man who's done 1,000 kicks, but fear the man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times from Bruce Lee.
Yeah. One kick. I'm the one kick champ, dude. Whatever that means in terms of programming. One click champ. That's going to do it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, our music was done by our friend Tynan. He is Nightan.
It can't end like this. It can't end like this. That can't be the end line. Because that's where the name of the episode, isn't it?
One click champ.
Yeah.
That sounds okay. I could go for that.
Okay, all right.
I've already thought, like, for the next episode, I'm going to title it The Total Lines of Code.
Yo.
You know, like Rent, like 9,021,900 minutes, whatever it is. 2,100,029 minutes. You know that one? You know Rent, that musical?
No, I don't know.
Fuck, dude, there's a whole song in it where they just talk about like how many minutes are in a year or some shit. I've never seen Rent.
How do you know this? I have never seen Rent either. I don't know what you're talking about.
Someone made fun of it, and I know the song, but that thing, that the name of it is some specific number, so it'll be like that next episode.
Oh, okay.
It'll be like, 11,003. What's your guess? Total lines across every service, Homegames Core, Homegames Web, including all the build scripts, and not including node modules, no dependencies, but just code that we wrote.
Are we doing like Price is Right rules? Closest without going over? Or is it just absolute closeness?
Let's do Price is Right rules. Yeah.
Fudge. That's harder. I'll say like 100,000 lines. I killed him. Right there. This is the bus that he was always talking about getting hit by.
not anywhere close, dude. It's like I would guess one line of code if we're doing Price is Right rules.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Sorry, I just choked because I cannot believe you said 100,000 lines. No, I would guess 15,000.
No way. There's no way. There's actually no way.
Okay, well, we will see.
All I need is for core to be more than that. Oh, wait, I need close without going over.
You need a lot.
I need a lot more lines. No, because we have like home dome, landlord, home name.
Home Dome is like 400 lines of code.
Yeah.
100,000 is 100,000.
Yeah. I want to stick to my 100,000. It's not like I'm going to get like flogged in the streets if I'm wrong. It's okay if I'm wrong.
I will personally take you out to the streets and flog you if you're wrong.
Yeah. It's not like we made a bet on this. Like, it's okay. I'll say, I'll stick to my 100K.
Well, whatever it is, we will know in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I bet it's 100K.
Is it time to close out the podcast
It's
now?
time to close out the podcast.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, our music is done by our friend Tyne. I have Budweiser in my throat now. It's like stuck. You know when you like gasp when you're taking a drink because someone said 100,000? You know when that happens?
No.
Oh.
Couldn't be me.
You get like a spritz of Budweiser stuck in your throat.
It's never been me. That sounds awful, though.
As always, our music is done by our friend Tynan. He is Nytan on Bandcamp. That is Nytan. Nytan. I had to swallow. I'm sorry.
You're good. I saw the struggle on your face. I was like, I can jump in. I can close this one out if you're really.
What was the rest of it?
You can check us out at homegames.io. You can check us out on Twitter at homegames.io. You can email us.
We have a website, homegames.io. You can contact us at the bottom of the page with the contact form.
Yeah.
We do have an email address, which is podcast@homegames.io. We also have Joseph and Yazeed. Not like one individually. We have Joseph at homegames.io and Yazeed at homegames.io. Don't email Yazeed. He's never opened it.
Just like all my emails. I don't open any emails.
It's a good way to be.
Yeah.
I'll get there one day.
No, fuck. You just DM me, bro. I don't need an email.
DM me on Twitter, boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is going to do it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.